Inside this box is ROG's latest new gaming desktop. Now, for a long time, the obvious way to get your hands on a gaming PC was to build it, at least in my opinion. However, with scalpers and tariffs, a lot of parts like GPUs have become incredibly expensive. So when the ROG team hit me up and asked if they could sponsor a video on this, I actually said yes, because not only am I curious about the PC, but there's a scenario here in which not only is it easier, but it might even be cheaper to have ROG build the PC for you. Now, this is probably a great time to mention that I do not know what spec of system they sent over. I also don't know the price of it yet. So I briefly looked at this chassis at CES. So this should be the ROG G700 chassis.
Come on, why else do you go to the gym?
I don't go to the gym.
Oh, that
That's fine.
sounded bad.
It's fine. Whoops! You know what though? It's already here and safe and sound. That's fine. Oh, they got the big boy card in here.
All right.
What is that? I'm surprised they didn't actually put any like padding on the inside. I mean, it made it here in one piece, so I mean, I can't complain. Being unconventional is the core value in the kingdom of games. To subvert, to hybridize, to rebel, to resist collectivism. Y'all, I get it. Can we not? Can we just not? Oh, what the hell? There's one DIMM of RAM in here? What the hell? What configuration they ship with single channel memory? I will turn it on later. I want to actually take a closer look because what kind of configuration is this? So it is an Intel system. So it's using an Asus B860M Max gaming board. That's fine. I will say, just looking at it, I mean, it's built perfectly competently. I mean, cable management's all there. It does have a very solid brace for the GPU, which is why they didn't have to ship it with a bunch of like packaging. And we do have a 240 millimeter AIO, 4 case fans. I assume it's probably an ROG power supply of some kind. Okay, well, whatever. Let me take a look in the back. Wow, that is quite clean. An 850 watt, 80 plus gold power supply, and pretty clean cable management, mostly just because there's not that much stuff going on here. All right, I have a lot more information on our G700. So the RAM issue is a simple one. They sent me a pre-production unit without the correct amount of RAM. So we've now installed 32 gigs of RAM, exactly the same way that would come directly from Asus. So let's take a look to see what we're getting value-wise. So one of the main selling points of the ROG G700 is the idea that it is fully configurable. Now, they've done this to a small degree in the past, but most of the time when you would buy an ROG desktop, it would be like 2 options or whatever, and that's pretty much it. When it comes to value, there are a number of different configurations you can go for. So you can get this guy over $3,000, which is probably not what I would do. Actually, the configuration that they sent over is actually, I think, fairly reasonable. So 1 terabyte SSD feels fine. I would probably just add a second SSD when I needed one. Windows 11 Home obviously makes sense. 32 gigs of RAM is the right call. I think going with the Intel Core Ultra 7 265KF makes sense. You can go up to the Ultra 9. I don't necessarily think you should spend the extra $200 on that. The liquid cool is an easy $50 upcharge. And as of right now, there's only a single GPU option, which is the RTX 5080 Prime. Now, if you look at that on Micro Center, this is a $1,400 card on Micro Center. So the fact that we've got that in a $2,600 gaming PC actually feels pretty reasonable. Now, I've spoken with Asus about this configurator. One of the things that they are working on doing is, first of all, getting more stock. As you might imagine, not a lot of RTX 5080s just floating around. These things tend to sell out pretty fast. But the idea is that they want to really improve this configurator when it comes to the options. I think a big reason why the ROG team have built the G700 is to go head to head with system integrators, as well as to maybe tempt someone who is going to build their own PC. Now, one of the other things that they have, when I was talking with the ROG team, they were really proud of is the fact that there's nothing proprietary in this system. You know, manifesto not included, everything in this system is easily swappable, upgradable. You can do whatever you want with it. And of course, it comes already built out of the box, so that's certainly worth something. But it's one of those things where you can feel free to do kind of what you want with this system. It's kind of table stakes, if I'm honest, to be able to compete here, but you are getting a reasonable value. $2,600 for this configuration, it's pretty close to what you would pay to build it yourself. So I will say that we're currently playing on our fancy ROG monitor that we bought for a video a few months ago. We're playing at 1080p, but this is a 540 hertz monitor. So we're gonna go full all out mode on this. We'll do DLSS with transformer. That looks really nice. Here we'll do auto, whatever's fine. Frame gen, we're gonna turn it down to 3x. Let's run a quick benchmark to see where we're at. That's pretty smooth. 240 locked. So this is with path tracing on, basically everything maxed out. Bro, all right, I'll actually play this. This looks really good. Yeah, I think we'll say 260 FPS seems fine. Cool, yeah, we're cruising a solid 250 FPS in-game, and this is with full path tracing on. Should I start some mayhem? I think I should start some mayhem.
When do you not?
Or should I just steal this truck? Yeah, I'll steal this truck. There you go, thank you. Ah, no! Damn, dude, that is so smooth, though. Well, you know, I'm sure I'll be able to win this encounter, right? Okay, I'm gonna run away now. Yeah, that's bad. I feel like I might be about to die. But yeah, surprise, surprise, an RTX 5080 and an Intel Core Ultra 7 265KF, pretty good for gaming. But I will say, this is an actual good point to mention. So we're in the middle of a game, 200 FPS, ray tracing the whole thing. Listen how quiet this is.
You could just take your mic off and...
No, people have to hear it.
Yeah, I know, but you could just take it off and just put the mic next to... Oh, okay.
People need to hear it. Look how quiet that is. So this has a lot of fans. You would think that it has good airflow. It clearly is quiet. But how good is the airflow really? How cool is this thing really? We bought a smoke machine and I want to use it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So let us carefully evaluate the airflow of the G700. So what we've got here is we've got a couple, in addition to all the RGB, we put a couple of brick lights in, kind of off to the side, mostly to kind of help illuminate the smoke. So we're running a stress test, which has been going for about 20 minutes or so now. It's very toasty. Do we see smoke?
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
Oh, it's going. It's
Okay,
going up the top. It's like a smokestack.
Oh yeah, you can really see it kind of like rotating through, and it's hitting the GPU too. So actually, let's go underneath the power supply. See, is it coming out there too?
Oh,
no,
yeah, it's going.
Yo, that looks so cool. So I'm directly pumping in the front. It definitely seems like there's like a little bit of a swirl in the middle. Actually, kind of interestingly, I think the smoke's coming up and it's kind of like rotating around. Do you see how much smoke's coming out of the power supply? Like,
Yeah.
that's actually like almost entirely power supply. If I cover, like look how much airflow comes out of that power supply. And if I put it directly into the fans, I assume that that's gonna really dramatically.
Yeah, it's
Right?
kicking it up like a hurricane in there. That is probably better airflow than like a novice PC builder.
100%. No, that's better airflow than most of my systems. I'll be honest with you.
Oh my God, can we clear out the studio?
What if we just, no, I just think the video looks
my
better
God.
if we just kind of just,
That's
you know.
not, it's not Sage.
So looking around with the thermal camera, you can clearly see a ton of heat coming out here. Oh yeah, you can see how hot the power supply is too. So let me actually go ahead and pop the glass off for a second just to see what's kind of hot on the inside. Again, you can see just how warm the power supply area is. So really that bottom fan is doing a ton of work to push cool air through. And then you can see obviously GPU is very toasty, the AIO is toasty, the motherboard's relatively toasty. Actually the SSD is pretty warm too. I'm not sure exactly what we've learned, except that playing with smoke is cool and that the airflow seems to be reasonably well designed. It's just artistic. I'm glad I was able to get a chance to take a look at the ROG G700 because I think, like a lot of you out there, I enjoy building my own PC. And while it's still sort of the most flexible option, there are certainly some reasons why you want to buy the G700. First of all, you don't have to actually build it yourself. And importantly, you're not really being penalized on the pricing side of things. I think they've priced this pretty reasonably considering that it's about the same cost as just buying all the components and doing it yourself. And there are of course advantages to them building it for you, namely the fact that they've done a good job with cable management, airflow. Now that being said, there are things I would like to see changed. First of all, the manifesto is dumb. Look, sorry ROG team, I know that you like this aesthetic and I'm sure that some people do as well. If this is my system, I'm gonna cover up what's on that power supply in like 30 seconds. Give me an option to not do that, please. On top of that, I really wanna see the configurator continue to grow. All that being said, if you're interested in a new gaming PC, this is actually a surprisingly strong option. So I'm curious, what do you think about the brand new ROG G700? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much to the ROG team for sponsoring this video. And importantly, thank you for giving me an excuse to get myself the smoke machine that I've always wanted. Thanks, ROG. Links in the description. Should probably link to my smoke machine in the description too. That'd be a pretty good idea, right?